Tonight, a flatlining economy. Retailers urge the Chancellor to give consumers and businesses confidence in her forthcoming budget.
I'm trying to support the local shops because probably the downside is the amount of closed up shops.
Just come in for a look around the town, but other than that, it's extremely difficult traffic-wise, both in and out.
Also making the headlines, alarm bells. Senior clinicians warn the health measures in place for the NHS this winter are not enough.
Hey besties, at STV News we are serving the freshest scoops. No cap.
And we're the GOAT at STV News. Slay, how Gen Z might promote the news at 6. I'm Emma Cameron in Edinburgh.
And I'm John Mackay in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6.
Good evening. Retailers are asking the Chancellor to help boost consumer confidence when she delivers her first budget at the end of the month. The latest figures suggest the economy is flatlining, with many businesses putting off longer-term decisions on investment.
Rachel Reeves will set out the UK government's tax and spending plans on October the 30th. Economists say her warnings about difficult decisions ahead risk denting confidence. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie.
Was it just like souvenirs that you're looking for?
Yes, actually, Christmas shopping time.
Oh, good. We just put the Christmas stuff out today.
This gift shop in Stirling has seen more customers coming through its doors in recent months. Sales are up, but challenges remain as it enters its busiest time.
We'd rather be buying new products and putting more into the business, but we have to pay things like the VAT. We find we don't have all the money to do all the advertising as some of the big companies and things, and a lot of people shop online and they don't tend to come into the town. We need the big shops, we need other things in the town so that people do actually come in.
The latest figures show footfall in Scotland's shops increased last month compared with the same time last year. However, the rise was well below the UK average, and in shopping centres it fell more than 2%. Getting shoppers onto high streets remains a challenge.
I just come in for a look around the town, but other than that, it's extremely difficult traffic-wise, both in and out.
I'm trying to support the local shops because probably the downside is the amount of closed up shops and boarded up places, yeah.
Sometimes you see like shops closing, other times you see new ones appearing at the pizzeria up there, so it seems to be still viable.
We need more shops, obviously, but
it's up and down.
While these figures are positive, it's clear some businesses on our high streets are still struggling, and the sector remains concerned about the impact of some recent policy decisions. The removal of the peak rail fares discount, for example, may reduce consumer spending power as traders prepare to enter this so-called golden quarter of the year. Retailers are now pinning their hopes on the UK and Scottish budgets, injecting some confidence back into the economy.
International visitors can make a huge contribution to stimulating both retail and hospitality and tourism. So we're looking for action to reinstate tax-free shopping for international visitors. So that's something practical we think the Chancellor can take action on later this month.
Economists say business confidence has faltered in recent months. They believe the Chancellor's repeated warnings of a painful budget ahead could be having a negative impact.
Confidence is really important in the economy, and it can impact, for example, on how people feel about buying a new product, particularly larger purchases, or for a business investing or growing. So there is a danger potentially that this sort of gloomy talk can then pervade into the economy.
Businesses and consumers will be looking for more certainty over what lies ahead when the Chancellor delivers her budget at the end of the month.
Well, Ewan joins us now. So, Ewan, what can we expect from the Chancellor?
Well, the big challenge facing Rachel Reeves at the moment is, on the one hand, appearing disciplined to convince people that the UK government is dealing with the financial challenges it's facing. But on the other, she's also looking to kickstart the economy, and to do that, she can't afford to overdo all the doom and gloom talk, otherwise she risks putting people off going out and spending their money. That's why we saw a more optimistic tone from her at the Labour Party conference last month.
Now, she's denying any of her comments have dented business or consumer confidence, and she's promising a drumbeat of investment running up to her budget. But the SNP is accusing the UK government of being clueless when it comes to investing. That's after it announced plans for carbon capture clusters in England, while making no mention of the Acorn project near Peterhead.
OK, Ewan, many thanks for that.
Scotland's emergency departments will likely fare worse this winter than last, which we only just scraped through. That's according to a top doctor from the Royal College of Emergency Medicine. A&E waiting times in August were the worst on record for that month, with more than a third of patients waiting longer than 4 hours. Well, Caitlin Hutchison joins us now. So, Caitlin, the latest suggestion of yet another difficult winter for the NHS.
That's right, John, and the Scottish Government is being urged to heed the alarm bells of these latest figures. This week we learned that August has been the worst August since records began in 2011, and the Royal College of Emergency Medicine is saying that overcrowding in our A&Es is now at winter crisis level all year round, and they're saying that that's something the Health Secretary is refusing to fully acknowledge.
It's upsetting for emergency medicine staff to hear that he doesn't feel that there is a crisis going on, and we would welcome anyone from Scottish Government to come into any emergency department within Scotland and witness for themselves the crisis that we are describing. Patients are staying in the emergency department for up to 48 hours. They come to harm. There's evidence that shows that they do come to harm. The system was not designed to have them there for that length of time.
So, Caitlin, what are the numbers telling us?
Well, comparing today's wait to those of the 2010s, say, paints a rather brutal picture. Take August 2017, for example. The number of people waiting 4 hours or more has gone up from 6.7 thousand to just over 39,000. Meanwhile, you can see on this yellow line here that those waiting 8 hours or more has gone up from just 347 to almost 13,000 people. And the number of those waiting 12 hours or more has gone from around 42 people to 5.3 thousand. Now, earlier, the Health Secretary told me he's hopeful his winter preparedness plan can help alleviate some of these strains that we're seeing by getting more people treated at home and by ramping up that NHS 24-111 service. And I asked him whether he thought it was fair that the NHS was being described as in crisis.
For those that are waiting for too long for treatment, I accept that there will be that feeling. But there is also incredible work being done by incredible staff. So for those patients that are getting seen and treated well, it wouldn't be a fair characterisation. They wouldn't recognise that. And what I'm keen to do is make sure that for everyone working and using our health service, we see improvement.
The government's plan has been accused of lacking the specific measures that will be needed to deal with the inevitable spikes in demand that we see over the winter period, and mounting staffing pressures, a strain on budgets and a rise in so-called corridor care is painting a very bleak picture indeed for our NHS.
Caitlin, thank you. Our final preparations are underway as Glasgow gears up for the Great Scottish Run. 30,000 people will be taking to the city's pavements on Sunday as part of the country's biggest running event. Runners raise hundreds of thousands of pounds every year for charities and good causes across the country.
The atmosphere in the city is it's amazing how many people come out and just cheer people on who they don't know. So it actually shows how great a community spirit Glasgow has to be out and just having people shouting for you, especially if you're struggling that wee bit. Just somebody else shouting and cheering you on just gives you that last wee bit to get over the finish line.
It'll be busy. Obviously, the event takes place on closed roads for runner safety, but all the information's on the website about which roads are closed and when. greatrun.org. Go to the Great Scottish Run website, and people can find out when sort of the buses start again, what times the trains are running for on the Saturday and the Sunday. It's all on there. It will be busy. There will be some congestion and things, but it's all for a really good cause.
A proposed firework control zone in Pollokshields will not go ahead this year after Glasgow City Council missed a key deadline. 60 days notice are required to enforce the zone, but the council only published notice on the 9th of September, meaning it will not be in place for bonfire night. Glasgow Airport is backing calls to build an eco-friendly jet fuel facility at Grangemouth. It could create around 60,000 jobs and generate an estimated £1.8 billion for the economy. Grangemouth currently supplies all of Scotland's traditional jet fuel. It's set to close next year. Scotland's only specialist disability college is raising concerns about funding. Cosford, which is based in Renfrewshire, caters for young people with complex additional needs. Young people with disabilities and their carers say it's life-changing and warn many may struggle to access services when they leave full-time education. Felicity Clifford reports.
2 years ago, Sophie was among the first students to go to Cosford College, Scotland's first and only specialist college for disabled young adults with complex physical and learning disabilities. She has cerebral palsy and educational needs and will need full-time care throughout her life. But college has allowed her to continue to learn important skills for the future.
She can communicate, she's got her own methods of communication, but they wouldn't be easily recognised. There's a big wide world out there and she needs to be able to communicate with it. The college has done some fantastic work with identifying technology that's appropriate to Sophie.
The college in Renfrewshire is run by the charity Capability Scotland and is entering its third year of a pilot period. Applications continue to be double the number of places available. While the Scottish Government's confirmed funding for another year, there are concerns about plans to expand services across the country.
I don't think there is enough understanding of the educational aspects of this and what that can achieve. I feel that they really need to look at this as education and include it within national priorities for education.
Across Scotland, hundreds of people with disabilities leave school every year. People like Finlay. He has cerebral palsy and needs full-time care for his physical needs. While he was accepted into a college course, he didn't feel mainstream education could support his disability. He wants to see more higher education centres offer facilities similar to Cosford.
We want every opportunities our peers get.
The special educational needs within schools, the numbers are rising every single year. So this isn't going to go away. So I think they need to start investing in colleges that maybe see learning in a different way.
The Scottish Government say they've given more than £1 million to Cosford College and they're committed to supporting young people with long-term additional support needs once they leave school. But many young disabled people feel they face an uncertain path when they leave school. Felicity Clifford, STV News.
Now here's Jamie with All Tonight Sport.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Autumn Sale.
Good evening. Rangers boss Philippe Clement says his side needs to take the next step in the coming weeks if they're to compete with their top Europa League opponents after they were dumped 4-1 by Lyon at Ibrox. Meanwhile, Hearts interim boss Liam Fox dedicated his team's first win of the season to the supporters after they were victorious in their opening Conference League tie.
We had good chances. We have to be more killer instinct there than international football. If you don't score, you get behind. We have to keep going like this. First half, even second half, we create good chances.
Look, it's one night we weren't at our best, but yeah, we can't let it affect us going forward. We need to bounce back and we need to do that Sunday.
Don't accept the level that we are. I'm always ambitious to raise the level. I think the very positive thing is that you create that amount of chances against a really good team with good football and with good combination play. But we need to make the next step also, the next couple of months.
Obviously they want to start winning games where they are and coming off the back of a good result, coming up to Pittodrie, they know they have to play well. So I think there's a few factors for them.
I'd rather go down with my own vision. That's the message from Brendan Rodgers after their 7-1 thrashing by Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League earlier this week. The Celtic manager received criticism for his approach in the match, but insists he won't change his style to play on the European stage. Celtic return to action away to Ross County on Sunday.
So what do? Sit back, have 15% of the ball, and probably lose 3-0, 4-0. We've seen it over 6 months, teams that will come to us and sit back and play 5 at the back and 5-4-1 and, you know, with no chance to attack. And I'd much rather go down with my own vision than by someone who's saying and who's never coached a game in their life or played or done whatever. So I respect the opinion, but it's not. I don't listen to it, never have.
Well, David Gray has called for zero complacency from his Hibs side this weekend after an encouraging display away to Rangers. Hibs host Motherwell at Easter Road, looking to record their second league victory of the season. And Gray believes the chances that they created at Ibrox show his team is building towards more good performances.
I'm really looking forward to the weekend now, and everyone's trained really well, and we need to make sure that that's not just because you've went to Ibrox and you can raise your game for that. That's just the standard that we need to take into Motherwell at the weekend, to a team that are flying, doing really well, well organised, well coached, and it'll be a real tough test again this week. So that's been our focus, to make sure that there's zero complacency and it's all about what we can do.
Rugby, and Richie Gray is to depart Glasgow Warriors before the end of his contract to move to a team overseas. The 35-year-old Scotland international will end a 15-year association with the club when he leaves at the end of November. Warriors face Cardiff in the URC tonight. Meanwhile, Edinburgh are still looking for a first win of the season. They take on the Lions in South Africa tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, there'll always be frustrations when you're creating opportunities and you feel that you can win rugby games. I suppose the positive that we're sitting with 3 points against teams against Leinster and Bulls away doesn't mean that we're happy, but we've got something out of the games, and we've got an opportunity now to go out and win this game on Saturday.
It'll be good for the team because we've obviously got that first win, but we're not looking at it as if we're defending champions. We're wanting to just go and impose our game, what we can do as players and as a team to the opposition, really. Yeah, we just want to get even better than we were last season, and as I said, go and win the URC again.
And that's all from me for this evening, but you can read more on today's big stories on the STV Sport website.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Autumn Sale.
Now, before the weather, let's look ahead to tonight's What's on Scotland. Laura's been chatting to Paul Whitehouse, who's starring in Only Fools and Horses, the musical.
Got bored trying to get that telly to work. It ain't a telly, you silly old goat, it's a microwave oven.
Take me back to how you first got involved in the show.
John Sullivan, just before he very tragically died, and long, before his time, had wanted to put on a musical of Only Fools and Horses. So his son then got attached to it and came to me with the director and said, would I help write the show? And I was like, I've never written a musical in my life, And also, it's such an iconic show, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you don't want to mess with it.
Was your plan always to put yourself in it?
No, not at all.
I want that role.
Me? I know what the show needs. Me? No, not at all. Again, the director, she sort of encouraged me. And I always wanted to play Grandad because I loved that character. I always thought that character was probably the most sympathetic, all right, Del boy. He's quite vulnerable, isn't he? Whereas Uncle Albert, he's a bit more like that. During the war. And I do get to do Uncle Albert as well.
Yeah.
So.
And now you're about to hit the road and you're coming to Scotland. So.
Yeah, we are. I've just got to say, we've got a guy, Duffy, and he said, can I give him a name check? So I've done it. All right, so. That's my Kevin Bridges. So.
You look like you're about to throw up.
I can do Billy if you like.
Oh, that's good.
Imagine if we didn't have... Somebody made that. I love that.
What a brilliant impression. Well, you can join Laura and me for What's on Scotland at 7 o'clock tonight here on STV.
What's on Scotland means it's the weekend. Give us a good forecast, Philip.
A spell of wows will gradually settle into a scattering of traditional tapas. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Hello, good evening. Well, throughout today, our weather has been slightly dominated by high pressure out to the east, keeping all the bad weather at bay. As it stands, though, that high pressure is starting to sink southwards, and that makes way for low pressure to move in from the west, and that low pressure sticks around as we head into the weekend. It brings with it bands of sometimes heavy and persistent rain moving in across western parts. It's not until we get to Sunday evening things start to clear up, and then by Monday it's looking like a fine and dry start to the new working week. Back to just now, though, that heavy and persistent rain that we've seen across western parts throughout the day does become a bit more widespread overnight, spreading into central, southern and eastern areas. And along with that, we've got a lot of low cloud, mist and murk. So temperatures aren't dropping too far tonight, lows of around 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. A mild night to come. Looking ahead to Saturday morning, we will start off with a lot of mist and murk around. Then, throughout the course of the afternoon, we've got another band of heavy rain spreading in, mostly affecting western parts. The further east we come is where we'll have the best of any drier or clearer conditions with highs of around 15 degrees Celsius. Then looking ahead to Sunday, like I said, we've got a stubborn low pressure system out to the west, sticking around. That pushes in bands of rain moving west to east throughout the course of the afternoon. By Sunday evening, though, that rain will start to clear, temperatures reaching highs of around 14 or 15. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, an Ayrshire granddad says he's been inundated with marriage proposals after going viral on TikTok. Adam Mooney's video targeting Gen Z customers has been viewed more than 3.5 million times.
I think you're showing yourself as a Gen X there. Yes, big brands and even politicians are jumping on the latest social media trends to try and connect with younger audiences. But is it cutting through or is it just a bit cringe? Well, our millennial political reporter, Laura Alderman, has been finding out.
Hiya, besties.
If you've opened TikTok recently or know a young person who has, you could not have escaped the latest trend sweeping the social media platform.
See these curtains? It's given main character energy. It's given royalty. It's given demure.
Trams are my Roman Empire. Goated. No cap. Big W.
It's called letting Gen Z do the marketing script. And everyone from the zoo...
You'll stan our animals.
...to B&Q...
has got the ultimate raise.
...are having a go, including our very own anchorman.
Hey besties, at STV News we are serving the freshest scoops. No cap. This is where we cook at 6 p.m. every night. These ties give me max order.
There are a number of ways that companies are using social media to target a range of their customers, but with Gen Z particularly, they're trying to have a more natural, relatable approach to communicating with that. Cringe is the point. In some cases, it's kind of the attraction for some of that Gen Z audience.
But one king is serving.
Are you fed up with your fugly blinds? You understood the assignment.
Adam Mooney from Ayrshire Blinds has become a TikTok sensation, with his version of the video being seen more than 3.5 million times.
So much riz.
For the 79-year-old, the response has been quite overwhelming.
It was a complete surprise. My granddaughter on the first evening, when she seen it, she said, "Mum, my papa's going viral." I've had marriage proposals. I've still to determine where they're billionairesses or not. Had requests for mugs. We've adopted instead of Ayrshire, we've been adopted as Slayshire. It really is totally mind-blowing. I'm still trying to come to terms with it.
Ayrshire Blinds is the go.
But have these videos slapped with their target audience? Here's what pupils at Dunfermline's new high school think about it.
I don't really think it works. I think it's like people are trying to get the attention of young people, but it just doesn't really work at all, I don't think.
It was funny the first few times, and then it really dwindled down, and now because it's that whole thing where it's not organic.
It's cringe, to be honest. Yeah, it is. Just not words that I would use.
I have to say younger people are more into those kind of trends than us. So it's not working.
But it's not just brands trying to jump on TikTok trends to capture younger audiences. Politicians and parties are at it too.
Slay.
Even the Scottish Secretary got in on the act.
This conference has so much riz. Low-key drip.
Both the Scottish Conservatives and Greens claim to have had a brat summer. It's certainly a flex.
Maybe just more down-to-earth stuff, focusing on the things that they actually want to get out rather than a lot of this nonsense that they're putting out. If they were in power, what actual decisions they would make that would influence young people? Because at the end of the day, we're the future of the country, so we need to know.
I think some of them are okay. The ones that try and conform to the Gen Z trends aren't as good, because it's like they're all jumping on it. It's like one or two is like, okay, maybe this is a bit of a good way to do it, but when it's like all the parties, it's like it's not as good.
Just speak about normal stuff, because they're pretty forcing it, and it was just useless.
When you're having a minty day.
Maybe the next trend will vibe more with these youngsters. Laura Alderman, STV News, slaying it in Dunfermline.
Cringe indeed, cringe indeed.
Oh no, John, that report was giving me life. No cap. Have a good evening, besties.
Good night.